Does implicit bias control you? When YouTube started, the engineers found a problem. 5 to 10% of the videos uploaded by users were upside down. But what was the problem? It was because they had accidentally designed it for right-handed users. Most left-handed users rotated their phone 180 degrees when they used it, and as such, those few videos were uploaded improperly, upside down. So, that was an example of an unconscious bias. They didn't have an idea what they were doing. It was out of their control. They didn't know. We also know explicit bias, which is when I purposely decide I don't like that person because of their color, or their religion, or their gender. But there's another thing, implicit bias. And this is similar to unconscious bias, but this is where we begin to start to question and wonder and realize and start to understand our unconscious bias. Basically, it's when we start to get to that point of, am I doing that because of a certain reason? And we start to be aware of what our bias, what our prejudice, what we are against. So what are my implicit biases? Well, of course, the first thing you need to do, of course, is avoid all explicit bias. We see here that people and institutions not only have a moral responsibility for their implicit biases, but a work responsibility. Institutions need to be efficient and effective, and decisions and actions need to be taken based on evidence and fact rather than stereotypes and hunches. Policies and statements of inclusion are not enough. We can't just decide, oh, we're going to say that we are nice to everyone, that we include everyone. No, if managers make it clear that they are committed to equality, for example, by attending equality events, debating and discussing issues, and holding themselves and others to account for the lack of progress, then the rest of the institution will likely follow. You need to take a moment to decide what to do. One example is a friend and someone that taught me many things, Angel Zimmerman, a Topeka attorney, and she's also currently the president of the National Conference of Women's Bar Association, and she's working with the organization for an initiative called Good Guys, for guys overcoming obstacles to diversity. It was founded by San Diego attorney Teresa Beck, and it invites men to be part of the solution to include more women. The big push is to help leaders see their lack of diversity and then help them focus on specifically what they can do. For example, sometimes we just don't see the problem. And one good example was Mark Binoff. He was CEO of Salesforce, and he said publicly there was no way that his company wasn't paying women or other diverse professionals the same as men. But when he looked at the data, investigated, he found that wasn't true. So he realized what was going on. And by realizing this implicit bias, this bias that he had but didn't realize he had, he knew, he said, I didn't have it. He then went out and spent $6 million to close the gaps. He made a decision and changed things. It takes paying attention to our implicit biases to make changes to them. Let's watch this for a minute and think, what is your bias about this person?
All right, so you guys think you've got a good read on me. You kind of think you know what's up. Can you imagine me running one of these? Can you imagine me walking and be like, hey boys, this is what's up, this is how it's done? Well, I'm glad you can. Because ladies and gentlemen, that's my day job. And the cool thing about it is that it's pretty entertaining. Actually, in places like Malaysia, Muslim women on rigs isn't even comment-worthy. There are that many of them.
So some of you may have seen this moment and not even had a problem going, of course she can. But other of you, for what reason? There could be many reasons. Why didn't you expect that? What implicit biases do you have? It's probably a bias you had. You probably didn't decide, I want to say that a Muslim woman can't work on a rig. No, you didn't decide that. But some reason you had that bias, and you're against that. And for those of you who may have gone, that's perfectly fine. What biases do you have? Implicit bias is not bad. We all have them. But the question is, what will you do to eliminate yours? I hope you enjoyed this, and you can think a little bit more about how your biases affect others and what you think of them. Go ahead and watch the rest of Yasmin Abdel Magdil's TED Talk to learn more about it. The link is in the description below. Thank you.